Okay, Year 11s, today we're going to be looking at Chapter 1.4, Cellular Requirements, and the slides you need to use to follow along are slides 54 through to 59. There are three main requirements that a cell will need. Energy requirements, material requirements, and excretory requirements. Now, because we've got different cell types, and even within our own bodies we have different types of cells, how they're going to go about this differs slightly, or differs quite a lot actually. But we're going to look at the general sort of mechanism, the general ways. The first is energy requirements. Now, we divide our energy, or the way that we get energy, into three main strategies: photoautotrophs, chemoautotrophs, and heteroautotrophs. Photoautotrophs are those animals, or those organisms, that use light to convert that light energy into chemical energy. So the classic example are plants. They use photosynthesis to take light energy from the sun and convert that into glucose, into sugars. Chemoautotrophs are organisms which take the chemical bonds already stored in chemicals. So that classic example is hydrogen sulfide or rotten egg gas. They take that and they use the energy stored in those bonds to make new compounds. Heterotrophs are the sort of complete opposite of that. Rather than taking it from the environment, they take it from other living organisms. So heterotrophs are organisms that need to consume their energy from other organisms. All cells, material requirements then. All cells need to create, either using what's around them or what influences they can have. They need to take that from their environment. In heterotrophs, we have to get it from our food. In autotrophs, they can get it from their environment. These are the major nutrients, or elements required for material components are carbon, water, nitrogen, and phosphorus. So with our energy requirements, we can very quickly sum these up. These are our photoautotrophs, for example, plants. We have our chemoautotrophs, and for example we have some bacteria that are able to do that, and then lastly we have our heterotrophs. For example, us, humans. With our material requirements though, there are some key elements. Carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, water. Those are our key elements. Without those, we're not going to be able to make the molecules that we need to make. There are a variety of trace elements. So trace elements differ depending on the type of organism, but they're going to be things like metals and vitamins. So we've got our key elements, and then our trace elements. So for example, iron, calcium, vitamin C and B, etc. Key elements needed in large quantities, trace elements needed in considerably lower qualities. Without either of those, we're going to have some significant problems that we're going to result in disease. Now the last is waste removal. We're going to have to get rid of that. So these are our excretory requirements. Cellular metabolism, any kind of chemical reaction creates unwanted products, whatever it is. If we go back to our understanding of photosynthesis and cellular respiration, or aerobic respiration, photosynthesis makes oxygen not wanted necessarily. Carbon dioxide, which is a waste product of cellular respiration, definitely not wanted. In fact, the body has a particular system to get rid of it in the lungs, or in the respiratory system. So these potentially lethal wastes, carbon dioxide, oxygen, whatever it is you're looking at, need to be removed. And the way they're removed is in a process called excretion. There are two important metabolic wastes, carbon dioxide and urea. These are produced by metabolic processes, and therefore they have to be removed from the cell. The important critical part, feces is not a waste. So your poo is not a waste. Poo is in fact leftover bits and pieces of your food that your body's just not interested in. When we're talking about wastes, or excrete, or wastes that we excrete, We're talking about metabolic wastes, wastes that have been made by the body. So we'll just quickly write up our excretory requirements and we'll talk about those. So feces is a non-metabolic waste because it's not a product of any kind of chemical reaction in the cell or in the body. That's the end of our slides there, so we need to do chapter 1.4 questions. Remember to email with questions.